This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast Expert Series, where we go beyond introductions and dive into real practical expertise from trusted local professionals. This is episode 1, and today we're joined by one of Simcoe County's go-to pros when it comes to outdoor excellence, Luan Abdullah of Simcoe Lawns. In this episode, we're breaking down what it really takes to get and keep an incredible lawn all year round, from spring prep to winter resilience. You're about to get season by season tips to make your yard the best on the block. Let's get into it. Luan, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good, pal. So before we get into your expertise and practical tips for the 4 seasons of lawn care, let's talk about who you are, how long you've been in the business, why you started it, and really, from the audience's point of view, what is the outcome we can expect from working with you?
Well, I got into this business about 2016.
Okay.
I worked a job in landscaping before, always liked the outdoors, always liked the process. I love working on my own lawn. So I figured, why not do it for other people? Started out with just mowing, slowly got into the lawn care side of things. I saw some gaps in the industry I wanted to fill, and here we are, plugging away.
Beautiful. And so, man, 10 years. Sean and I spend, all day. It's either growing a business or learning about business. And it's not too hard to find the stats on these things. You can just go to ChatGPT real quick or books or whatever. The amount of businesses that make it to 10 years, like yourself, are like single-digit percentage points. And the amount of businesses that make it to their first decade successfully are like a fraction of that. So you are already amongst a very rare group. So kudos to you. And I'm always curious, as now I'm going on my 9th year in marketing, and I love it more each year, but that wasn't the case with previous businesses. Some I enjoyed less each year. So it's not always the case that the longer you go, the more you enjoy it. But after 10 years, how you feeling about it, man?
Pretty good. I always like to say my first half was what I like to call ignorant, what's the word I'm looking for? Ignorant optimism.
Yes.
This is going to be great. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to be successful, but I don't know the problems. Then I get into informed pessimism, where I know all the bad stuff, right? And then we start fixing ththings. That's kind of like year 7. We're starting to get things right. So
yeah, it's amazing. Hermosi, 4 phases of business.
That's right. Yeah.
And the amount of people we hire on the team that first stage where they're just so pumped and then they get punched in the face.
That's right.
And he calls it the valley of despair.
That's right. The valley of despair. Yeah.
Right. And that's when people quit. But, if a lot of business owners, one of the things that I really like that he talks about is he thinks courage is more valuable than intelligence. It's not the smartest people that get the furthest, people with most courage, which I like. If you're able to endure as a business owner, you probably have a skill set that's pretty rare. You can get through it. But let's give some really practical advice on the people that are going to be listening to this episode. How can they make an awesome lawn? Sean Preston, my co-host, a client of yours, loves his lawn, talks about it all the time. I just want to cut mine and check that box, but he takes great pride in his. So let's talk about it. Let's get right into the spring. So let's talk about it first. So what are the first few things someone should do in early spring to get their lawn going in the right direction?
If you're starting out and you've never done any kind of lawn care before, the first thing you want to do is test your soil. Because if the soil is not right, then you don't know what to add, you don't know what it's lacking, and you may just be putting products on your lawn that either aren't doing anything or you may be overdoing it. So if you've never had any lawn care before, we typically start with a soil test.
And so how do you do that?
Literally just take a sample of the soil, and we put it into our kit, and it tells us what it's deficient in and what it needs. Usually it's either nitrogen, potassium, or some sulfur.
It's amazing. Every organism there's so many similarities rather than differences. Like, that's a blood test for me.
Pretty much.
I make sure, right? Like, I make sure I get my hormone panel done. What are my minerals looking like? And then now we can, rather than just pouring on more vitamin D, because everybody just says vitamin D is great. You may not need it.
That's
more
right.
magnesium.
You may be overdoing it. Absolutely.
Right. So you treat your lawn the same way. Test it first and find out what it needs.
Yeah, because with lawn products, putting too much of something can cause damage, right? Things like
it, man.
nitrogen burns the lawn too much if he has too much of it in already. Sulfur will give you too much top growth on the lawn, so growing too fast when it shouldn't be. Lots of things. Like you said, you wouldn't do it with your body, right? So your lawn's the same way. It's a living organism.
It's so simple. Once it's said, it's like, yeah, duh. But
Right.
for the homeowner, how can they get outside of guys like yourself? Can this be bought at like Canadian Tire, or
You
do you
can
have?
buy a soil test kit on Amazon that will
Okay.
give you the basic stuff, like the basic products. Those 3 numbers you see on those bags of fertilizers, those are the numbers you need. And any basic soil test kit will give you those.
Amazing. Amazing. Common weeds and pests that show up around berry in springtime. Like, what can people do? What are they? How do we address them in that early stage of the lawn season?
So basically, we call a weed anything in your lawn that you really don't want there.
Okay.
Anything that's outside of a grass species. So the weeds typically come and infest people's lawns when they're not healthy, because when the lawn's healthy, it's optimized for growing grass, and weeds will not grow where there's a lot of grass growing. The grass will drown the weeds out. So typically we see a lawn get invaded with weeds because they've never had any lawn care before. They weren't putting the right products on, or they just don't have enough grass even sometimes. And they spread. Weeds will grow outside of optimal grass growing temperatures. So even if your grass is dormant or there's a drought, the weeds can still grow. And that's why they can get out of control over top of your grass.
Persistent buggers, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Any pests to be leery of?
Pests, yeah, they typically will come in, again, same thing. Unhealthy lawns harbor pests, right? They crawl through, they eat the root systems. There's a few different kinds of pests. The main ones in berry that we see are grubs. And they basically are just a beetle larvae, and they will attack your roots of your grass right in the midsummer. They grow to adults and they eat the roots, and you won't even know it. You'll just see a patch of your grass go dead. And the way to test for these guys is if you tug up on the turf and it comes up very easily, that means the root system's gone. You got grubs in there. If the grass itself is disappearing, that means you have a pest that's actually eating the grass blade itself. So like the sod wedworm is a sucker. So it actually sucks the sap out of the grass, makes it go yellow and die, whereas the chinch bug actually eats the grass, takes bites out of it and eats it.
Okay, so we have grass eaters, we have grass suckers, and then we have root eaters.
Yeah.
And how do we address this?
Well, the best way to do it, again, we start with like kind of a whole approach of just having a healthy lawn will keep pests away from it, right?
Okay.
But the best way to control it after the fact with the pest is with an insecticide. And usually we apply that in the time of the year where they're the most active, which is usually midsummer, which is kind of confusing to people sometimes because they'll wake up in the spring, they'll have a lot of lawn damage from a grub, and we'll say, yeah, no, you want to treat that in June. And they're thinking, well, I want to solve the problem now, but the problem is actually in June. That's when you're going to kill them. That's when they're active. That's when they're eating the most. So you wait till midsummer, hottest time. That's when you do it.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about mowing. This is like the one thing that I do, and
everyone loves mowing.
Right? It's kind of peaceful. I put podcasts on, sometimes just out there, but it's very, very meditative. You just one line after another, dealing with weeds and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know how to answer them. By the end of the show, I'm going to know how to answer them a little bit better. But mowing in the spring, is there a right height for it? How do we do it?
So there is a right height for the spring. So assuming you've been cutting your lawn and you gave it the last fall cut and it's still a decent height, I always say spring. So the optimal height for any grass, the Kentucky bluegrass we have here in Ontario, is 3 to 3.5 inches. That's ideally what you want. You can go outside of that a little bit based on your preference, but ideally you want to always cut your grass to about 3 inches. But if your grass is overgrown, you never want to take more than 1/3 of the grass blade.
At one time.
It's the same thing as cutting a tree or a plant. It's too stressful on it. You'll harm the root system. So 1/3 at a time. So if you have overgrown grass, you will wreck your lawn if you just decide to cut it right down to the wire right away. You have to cut it a little bit at a time. It'll take you probably a few weeks to get it down to where you want it.
So I've definitely done the wrong thing.
You're cutting too much grass off if you are discharging your clippings back onto the lawn and they're very visible. If you can see them everywhere and you can't get rid of them, you've cut too much off.
Okay. So 3 to 3.5 inches. And what did you call the grass? here in Ontario?
Kentucky bluegrass.
Kentucky bluegrass. Very cool. Look at this. Okay, so 3 to 3.5 inches. If it's overgrown for whatever reason, you went away for a few weeks, a month, and we had a ton of rain. You come back, you go a third at a time, basically.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about watering. Another thing that I don't do enough. So watering in the spring, especially for people who tend to over or underdo it. What's the advice?
The biggest thing people get wrong with the watering is not how much they're putting on, it's just the frequency. So let's talk about first a new lawn. If you've just resodded your lawn or it's new or you put a lot of seed down, you want frequent watering. If your lawn is established, you want infrequent watering, but you want to water deeply. So some people, they will water their lawn every night, right? For like a few minutes at a time. Most of that water just gets into the surface layer of the soil or sits on the grass blade and it evaporates. So what you want to do is water infrequently, but water deeply. That way, so your grass will actually, the roots will go deeper looking for water if it doesn't have any. If the water is always on the surface level, you will not get a strong root system for that grass. It'll go deeper and deeper looking for water. So if you water infrequently but deeper, the water will get down into the soil, and you want to do it at night or early in the morning or late in the evening when the heat's not on it, because the heat will take away all that moisture on top of the lawn. The heat will take it all away. You can see it evaporating during the day if you water your grass if it's hot enough.
Okay, so cooler times, morning, late evening, or at nighttime. Yeah. And so for me, I'm thinking deep. How do I do that? Is there a timeline? Is there a way to test?
Yep, there is. So you want to give your lawn about no more than 25 millimeters of water per week. A good way to test that is a tuna can. Take a can of tuna, put it on your lawn, put the sprinklers on. When it's full, that's what the lawn needs.
So that's including rainwater.
That's including rainwater.
Okay, so
the mistake a lot of people make with their watering is they put the sprinkler system on autopilot. Yeah. Some sprinkler systems have like a little bit of AI built into them. They can go by the weather, and if it's going to rain, they won't turn on. But I've seen people watering their lawns like early in the morning and walking the dog, and I've seen it's been raining a bit, and someone's got their sprinklers on. Right, so that can affect the way the lawn takes water. I think about watering the lawn as almost like training the grass to look for more water and get stronger. You make the grass work, you make the roots work harder to find the water, they get stronger as a result.
Resiliency, adversity, everything, every organism needs it. The strongest trees have taken the biggest beating. I think the same is true for humans.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sink it down deep. So if I just leave a tuna can, like if I I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I go like week by week, we had some good rainfall. I had that tuna can on there. It's not quite full. I put the sprinkler and just fill up the tuna can, even if that just takes a minute or two because we had good rainwater, or like however much left of the tuna can is what I need to water that week.
Yeah, and that's for the week. You can do it all in one day and then don't water your grass at all. I don't recommend that because you want to watch the weather, see when you're going to get rain, right?
Right.
Main thing is doing it at night because you don't want to lose the water you're putting down.
Right. So if I leave that tuna can throughout the whole week and we're having hot weather, I can expect some of that to evaporate to a degree. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Man, this is why I love this stuff. It's just great. Okay, let's talk about the summer. Now the heat's kicking in. One of the things that